but oh my gosh, it's freaking huge. Look at how big this guy is. Welcome to the Faded Wildflower Crochet. My name is Rachel, and today is another episode of Will It Ami, which is a series on my channel where we test out different types of yarn and see if they work for amigurumi. And along the way, you can watch me make a cute plushie. So if that sounds like fun, then keep watching. For today's video, we are going to be trying out the Juicy Couture extra large version. If you watched the very first video on this channel, I tested out the Juicy Couture sparkle yarn, and today we're going to be trying out the extra large variety. I feel like when I made my first video, I had really low expectations. I didn't think it was going to be easy to work with. I didn't think that I would love it, and let's just say it exceeded my expectations. But today, my expectations are really high since I had such a good experience with that other kind of yarn. So we'll see if the extra large variety lives up to the sparkle variety. This yarn comes in 8 different colors, and it normally costs $11.99. Of course, you can always find it on sale, and these are 10.5-ounce skeins. For today's video, we are going to be making this mushroom plush, which is my own design. You can find it in my Etsy shop. I will link it down below. Now let's go take a closer look at that yarn. Okay, here is a closer look. You can see this is quite the thick yarn. Look how thick that is. And you can kind of tell right here, it's basically 2 strands that are wound together, which we'll see if that makes it harder to work with. I'm not sure. And this is a super bulky weight. It recommends using a size O hook, which I do not have in my collection, but of course we will be using a smaller hook since we're making amigurumi. This is the color Angel. This is the color Regal Blue, which it is such a beautiful color. I love this color of blue. So let's get started making our mushroom frond. Okay, here's what I have so far, just the top of the mushroom, but oh my gosh, it's freaking huge. Look at how big this guy is. I have some pros and some cons about this yarn so far. So the pros are that it glides so nicely on the hook. I did have to end up switching hook sizes partway through because I just wasn't happy with the amount of gaps I was having with the larger hook. I did go down to a size L hook, and that one works perfectly fine. I love how it feels. It's so luxurious. I think it's called the Luxe yarn, and it definitely is luxurious. It's luscious. It's so soft. Probably the softest yarn I have ever worked with. And this variety is the thickest yarn I have ever worked with. I did not have any problems with the yarn splitting. I thought since it is kind of two strands woven together that it might split a little bit, but it did not at all. Had no problems with that. So those are the pros. The cons are that unfortunately it does shed quite a bit. With the sparkle yarn, I did have just a little bit of problems with it shedding right at first, but not this bad. You can see it's still coming apart a little bit, and particularly with the blue. So with the white underneath, I'm not having problems with the white shedding nearly as much, like maybe just a little bit, but not that bad. So I don't know if I got a bad batch or if there's a difference between the color varieties. I have no idea why, but this is shedding quite a bit more than I expected, especially since the other variety did not shed hardly at all. So that's quite surprising. I will also say that I had to take the yarn apart into the two strands in order to weave in the ends, because even with the biggest yarn needle that I have, it was too small. So that was kind of annoying to have to do, and it did cause more shedding, but it worked out. So the other con is that you really do not get much yarn. This is all that is left, and I even had to take out a row of my pattern because I wasn't going to have enough yarn to finish. So that is something to keep in mind. So there is pros and cons with this so far. I really love the way it looks and feels, but I don't love the shedding. So let's finish this up and see how we feel with the finished product. Okay, this absolute behemoth is finally done. He is quite hefty. I have such mixed feelings about this yarn. The first thing that I had struggles with was getting the safety eyes on. I tried just putting them on the normal way, and I could not get them to clip. I thought maybe I just wasn't strong enough, so I even went to my husband and had him do it, and he did get one done, but the other one he couldn't. So I did some Googling, and people were recommending to turn the washer upside down the other way than you would normally do it. So that's what I did, although I'm just not sure how secure they actually are that way, but they're holding up for now. So that's something to keep in mind with this yarn is if you want to work with safety eyes, I would recommend getting a much larger size. These are 15 millimeter, which is the largest size that I have in my collection right now. And I really just didn't want to go out and buy any larger ones, but you will definitely need a sizable safety eye to work with this. The other problem I had was with the sewing. Unfortunately, sewing the body to the top of the mushroom, I just was struggling so much. The yarn even broke at one point, which I didn't get on camera, but I did show on camera how much it was shedding and just falling apart. So I did end up just getting some regular worsted weight yarn and attaching it with that. And I did the same with the spots, but even sewing with the worsted weight yarn was really hard because these stitches are just so thick to try to get through them. You really have to pull. So keep that in mind as well. Maybe choose a pattern where there's not quite as much sewing. So I just really have mixed feelings about this. Will it awe me? It definitely will. And you will get quite a sizable piece. I could see this yarn being really great for making a weighted plush, even putting some beads in there to make it even thicker. I know that a lot of people love weighted plushes. My daughter loves weighted plushies, so I could see that being a great option for this yarn. But I would definitely choose something with a little less sewing, or just keep in mind that you might need to use a different yarn to sew it together. The biggest con is the shedding. I am covered in fuzz, my couch is covered in fuzz, my desk is covered in fuzz, probably even my dog is covered in fuzz. It sheds so badly. So if that's something that bothers you, you definitely want to skip on this yarn. Or again, maybe I got a bad batch. I'm not really sure, but even like picking at it, you can still get some fuzz off of it, which is quite disappointing because like I said, with the other Juicy Couture yarn that I've tried, I had no problems with shedding. It was actually the best yarn I've worked with in terms of shedding. So that is disappointing. So will I be repurchasing this yarn? Unsure. I could see myself buying it for very specific purposes, like to make, like I said, a weighted plush or something that requires a lot less detail than something like this. But it's definitely not going to become my go-to. Are you guys ready for this size difference? Look at the size difference between these two. This is the original one I made in Bernat Velvet, and then this is our guy we made today. Look at that difference. And I would say that they were made in the same stitch pattern, but actually I took out a couple of rows on this guy to make sure that I had enough yarn. So if you were looking for a yarn to make a big plushie with not as many stitches and you don't care about shedding, this is the yarn for you. Thank you so much for watching this video. You'll have to let me know what you think about the Juicy Couture extra large yarn. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Let me know if I'm the only one having a hard time with the shedding. Be sure to hit the like button if you did enjoy today's video, and you can subscribe. Stick around. Let me know what other kind of videos you want to see next. You can follow me on Instagram, check out my Etsy shop, and again, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.